In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can graph the basic sine and cosine curve functions. First, we're going to take a look at sine. The big thing is to recognize the 5 key points of the sine function. If you don't know these, you can get them right from your calculator by typing in the sine of 0, the sine of 90, the sine of 180, the sine of 270, and the sine of 360. Those are going to be our 5 common values that we're using for our basic curve. When I input these values in, I get that the sine of 0 is equal to 0. The sine of 90 is equal to 1. The sine of 180 is 0. The sine of 270 degrees is negative 1. And the sine of 360 is equal to 0. From here, you can see I have my x and y axis already drawn and labeled with the correct points. Notice how the x-axis has changed, and I'm using the grid to be my degrees from 0 to 360. The basic parent functions for both sine and cosine will be graphed from 0 to 360. If I go ahead and plot these points, I can see the basic curve of a sine graph start to form. 0, 0, 90, 1, 180, 0, 270 is at negative 1, and 360 back to 0. From here, I can connect my dots and see my basic parent function for the sine curve formed. From here, I can start to recognize some basic information from my graph and see that my zeros or roots are going to be at 0 degrees, 180 degrees, and 360 degrees. My y-intercept is going to be at the point 0, 0. And I have a relative max at 90 degrees and 1, and a relative min at 270 degrees, negative 1. For the cosine parent function graph, I'm going to use the exact same 5 key points for my x values. Again, I can get these values by going right to my graphing calculator and typing them in and getting that the cosine of 0 is equal to 1, the cosine of 90 is equal to 0, the cosine of 180 is equal to negative 1, the cosine of 270 is equal to 0, and the cosine of 360 degrees is equal to 1. From here, I can go to my x and y axis grid that's drawn, and note again how my x-axis has changed, where my scale is going to be going from 0 to 360 degrees. When I plot my 5 points, I can start to see my cosine parent function form. First point is 0 degrees, positive 1, 90 degrees, 0, 180 degrees, negative 1, 270 degrees, 0, and finally the point 360 degrees, positive 1. As I go through and connect my points, I can see my parent function of my cosine curve formed. As with the sine curve, we can start to recognize some of our basic values that go along with this curve and recognize some important points. The first is going to be that our y-intercept is going to be at the point 0 degrees, 1. Our roots for our cosine function are at 90 degrees and 270 degrees. We have a relative minimum at 180 degrees and negative 1. And we have 2 relative maxes at 0, 1, and also 360 degrees, 1.